Okay, in this video we are comparing the BFG mud terrains, the KM3 tire, to the KO2s. So on that black truck up there, that Land Cruiser, we got the KO2s. I have KO2s on a couple different trucks and love them. And these are the KM3s, the much more aggressive tread pattern. Look at those sidewalls. And those sidewalls, they're meaty. That really sticks out a lot. Kind of the same design as the KM3s, but just sticks out. It's just more aggressive. Now I'll have videos. Let's say you choose to go with these, the KM3s, or if you decide to go with the KO2s, more of a daily driver, like on this truck. I do have a video, and these are the KO2s, which will look at the tread patterns. I'll explain the different terminology, how long you can expect them to last. So hold tight for that. But let's say you decide to go with the MTs. I also have a video comparing to the Toyo. So here's some Toyo MTs. So a side-by-side comparison with that, something to consider. Or if you go with these, decide to go with the KO2s, the all-terrain versus mud terrain, I also have a video comparing to the AT3s, the open country Toyo, which is on that truck. So look at the description for those videos as well. But now back to the tire itself. And we'll take both these trucks for a little run so you can hear the difference. And I'll kind of share the feel of it. So this is the KM3s. Huge tread blocks. And this came out in 2018 is when BF Goodrich came out with these super aggressive KM3 tires. And they're phenomenal. So features like mud phobic bars. So you know what that's for? When mud and different elements, you know, silt, sand, but mostly mud gets in here, this helps expel it. So there's no cavity for it to really stick. This bar will help push it out. This is the siping. So really big siping on these tires. This way, this rubber can move. It's a softer compound. I'm doing that with my fingers. Imagine the weight of the car. And this helps expel different items, even down to these little nibs. And right here, all these different items help expel out. Now that's a big block pattern, right? So when you talk about traction, this will be great traction on rough terrain, but on the road, the KO2s will be better traction. So we'll look at that tread pattern in a second. Just think of it as a Formula One car, racing slicks on a dry day. When it rains, then they put on their rain tires, right? So they have better traction. They'll have less touching the road, but it's because they need to expel the water. And KO2s will do a better job of expelling water than these. But the KM3s will do a better job expelling mud and dirt and, you know, all the stuff that you're going over on rough terrain. One other thing to think about when you're getting tires is the date. Now, I'm sure most of you are shopping for new tires, but sometimes people get to, you know, half-life, or they bought 35s and they decided they need 33s for their truck. So you want to look at the date, and the date can be found on the sidewall right here. So this is called the DOT, the date of tire. So it says 11/19, so that means the 11th week of 2019. So what 11th week is? March. So you want to look at that date. You know, anything that's too old, don't get it. If it's coming up on 10 years old, do not get it. You won't even get a plug if you went to American Tire. Now it's much easier to look at this tire that's on the rear carrier. So these are your shoulders. So the side's called the shoulders. This is called your tread block. These are sipes, mud phobic bars. This tire comes with a lot of technology in 2018 and still to this day. So it has Core Guard Max. That's part of the protection in the sidewall. So for instance, when you're off-roading, this is thicker. This is going to have better chances against puncture on the side. The KO2s, a little easier to get punctured, a little thinner. This is going to be heavier. Like when you're talking weight, this tire, and in this case, it is 12.5 inches wide as well, compared to that KO2 that's 11.5. But this tire in a 35 is 75 pounds. The KO2 is 66 pounds. So that's almost a 10-pound difference. And that's coming down to your unsprung weight, which I'll explain in a second. So the less weight on your wheels and tires, the better. Let's go look at the K02s and the K02 tread pattern. We'll just, unfortunately, I don't have a rear tire carrier on this one, so we got to get down. But you'll see the siping, that's those little slits between, much smaller, almost negligible, but they do put them on the tires still. No, I mean, it has little baby Mud Phobic bars. That's super small if we had them side by side. It still has that little BFG triangle there too. But this is a much closer tread design. So it's going to perform not as well in mud. Actually, mud is going to get caked and stuck in these tighter areas, making this a racing slick in the mud. So it's just going to slide. Think of it as a good analogy as a bear claw. So those KM3s, that's a bear claw or a panther. Climb up a tree. Now these are more wolf or coyote paws, you know. Still have some, you know, some claws to them. Still going to get some traction. Sorry, my sprinkler system just went off, so I shut it off. But back to the analogy. Bear claw, panther claw for the KM3s. This is more of a wolf or coyote, so it's still going to get traction, but it's maybe up a muddy slope. It could slide versus that bear claw is just going to grip and rip. And then compared to an all-season, it's more like a tabby cat, you know, a house cat. Still has the claws. And then a worn all-season tire is like a declawed cat. You're just not going anywhere. So it's all about the grip. Do you want a bear claw grip or do you want a, you know, wolf grip, you know, in the tread pattern? Now, as far as longevity, the K02s aren't as soft as a tire compound. They do not have the what is called the Krawl-tec, Krawl with a K, Tech, T-E-K. So the K02s is going to be a little bit of a harder compound. It's a softer compound on those KM3s because you need that softer compound when you air down and you're crawling over, you know, the rocky terrain. This is going to be a harder compound. So as far as how long these tires last and the longevity, because KM3s are going to be, you know, slightly more expensive, but they're both pricey tires. They're rated to last on the K02s. They're rated to last 50,000. So you get a 50,000 warranty on that. The KM3s, they're going to last, you know, they say 30 to 35, but truly it's going to be closer to 20 to 25 because people are putting these on heavy trucks, 4x4. So all of that is going to give more wear, and they're a lot louder. I mean, those wheels, they're loud just based on that candy apple red when I roll down the road. But as far as noise loud, the KM3s are going to be much louder than the K02s. Another thing to consider. And another thing, a lot of people don't know this. If you're buying brand new, they come with a warranty. So my wife, let me show you that truck. We get the Michelin Defenders, right? So you see down there, the Michelin, which is part of the BFG group now, you know, under the Michelin umbrella. So on that vehicle, nowhere near the same tread, or I'll just walk to it. Those Defenders come with 75,000 miles, but to be honest with you, it'll never last 75,000 miles on this truck. They go after maybe 45. So you know what you do? Keep your warranty, rotate your tires, get an even wear. You go back to American Tire, and if they say, okay, the wear on that tire, it went out at 45 versus 75, they figure out the percentage, and you will get that percentage off a new set. So I've had 40% off a new set of Michelin Defenders, which are great for that type of SUV. I wouldn't get Defenders because it's not the same. It's not an MT or an AT. I wouldn't get those if you plan to do, you know, overlanding or extreme off-roading. So, you know, the K02s, overlanding, no problem. You know, if we look at the shoulder, we were talking about the shoulders, has the same design, but way thinner. So visually you can see it, but when you see those KM3s, sorry, they just look phenomenal. that aggressive look. Such a cool look on those KM3s. So KO2s last longer. You know, they say 50,000. You know, that never happens. Count on 40, keep your receipt. Or count on 35, keep your receipt. And these, they say upwards of 35. No way, no how. Count on 20 to 25, keep your receipt. I'm just not 100% if they will do the warranty on MTs. I think they will. They definitely will in the KO2s. So, but if overlanding's your thing, KO2s will do just fine. They will gather that dirt and slide a bit. The KM3s, if you're rock crawling, airing down, you need that thicker sidewall. You need all that technology, Krawl-tec, Core Guard Max, the Mud Phobic bars. Again, look how much bigger they are. Way big. Look at my pinky finger, right? So those are huge to give you perspective. And look how big these gaps are. I can put my whole finger in no problem. Can't do those with the KO2s. All right, so let's jump in these two rigs and give them a roll and listen to what those tires sound like. All right, here we are rolling with the KM3s. So these are 35-inch, 12.5 wide, 17s. So in all fairness, we're comparing on the ATs, or the KO2s, I should say, the BFG K02s. They're 33-inch and a little thinner, about 1 inch thinner. They're 11.5 approximately compared to this 12.5. So let's, and these are heavier, right? You know, mountain tires, the MTs, obviously a thicker shoulders, bigger, wider blocks in the tread. They're just heavy. And one thing to consider, if you have 18-inch or 20-inch rims and it's a 35-inch tire, it's going to actually be lighter than a 17-inch, because the 17-inch is the inner, right, circumference or diameter of the wheel. So the smaller the wheel on a 35-inch tire, the bigger the tire, the bigger the wall. I like to call your rubber suspension, right? And more room to air down. Like, obviously no one off-roads with super thin tires. It's gonna be big fat tires. All right, so let's give it a listen here. I'm gonna crack the door open slightly. So hopefully that blocked the wind, and you can hear that vibration. Obviously, the faster I go, the higher pitch the vibration. Now, if you are a music buff, you like to put your stereo system on, you're not going to hear that so much. So no biggie, right? Whether you have MTs or ATs. But if you're looking for a quiet ride, it's just not going to happen. No matter how much sound deadening material you got on your rig, you're going to hear those MT tires. And back to the weight. When we talk about the MTs on the 35-inch, they're like 75 pounds per tire. That's heavy. And we compare that to, obviously it's a 33 and it's an AT, it's 61 pounds. That's like 14 pounds less. But when you compare, let's say 35 to 35, right? So an AT 35, it's gonna be about 5 more pounds than the 33 AT. So about 66 pounds compared to 75 pounds. Let me pause because we're gonna hit some sun. All right, no more sun. Let's see if we can get some noise here slower. I'm sure that's more wind than tire noise there. But yeah, unsprung weight, that's because when you talk about heavy wheels and heavy tires, this is all part of your unsprung weight, which is everything below your suspension, right? Because your suspension's going to support your everything above it, everything below it. So what? Axle, tire, wheel, braking system, drive shaft, all this is part of your unsprung weight. And the heavier it is, it's not as good. You want to keep that light under there. All right, So here we are. We are gonna now jump into the K02 vehicle and listen to how much quieter that is with the tighter block tread pattern than these KM3s. All right, but I'll tell you what, when it comes to tire noise, when you're off trail and going over rocks and ice and terrain, you're not listening to anything. You don't care. What you care about is getting over it, obviously. So noise, not a factor off-road. As far as width on the tire, as I was mentioning, this is 12.5 wide because it's a 35, 12.5, 17. On the vehicle that's got the K02s, it's 285, 75, 16. So even though it's 33, we probably have almost as much sidewall because it's 1 inch smaller tire. So almost as much, but that's 11.5 wide. As you can see, the much tighter tread pattern, of course. So let's give these K02s a whirl. Let me jump in. Okay, we're sitting on the other side because this is my JDM Land Cruiser diesel. So that diesel is going to account for some of the noise we're going to be hearing, of course. But let's see when we get on that straightaway what it sounds like. But unsprung weight. So when you consider MTs and ATs, the ATs are going to be considerably lighter. Just guesstimate 10 pounds. But that's per tire. So that's a total of 40 pounds overall just on tire weight. But then again, you know, consider if you're looking at wheels, research the company, the wheels that you got, check what the weight is of the wheels. Because I know that well, I'm in a Land Cruiser, right? So the alloy that comes with it, super strong alloy, and they're 24 pounds each. But if you get aftermarket like Fuel Zephyrs or these crazy wheels that their focus wasn't on weight, sometimes you're looking at a 35-pound wheel, right? Plus 10 extra pounds on your tire. Now you got 20 extra pounds on each corner of unsprung weight, not being supported by your suspension. So it can make a difference. But I'll tell you, I also have on a more modern 200 series, because this is a 1996. So on a 200 series Land Cruiser, I've got these exact same tires, exact same size, and they're so quiet. They're such a dream. In fact, they kind of do a little squirky chirp, like when I come to a stop at this gate, and maybe it's the pavement they got there, but I can really hear it. So let's see if we can give a listen to these tires. So apart from some wind noise, I mean, you can hear it. When I open the door, obviously you're gonna hear it a lot more. You know, a Jeep with the doors off in the summertime, you're gonna hear the wind, you're gonna hear your tires, you know, against the road. But all I hear is diesel engine right now, which is pretty quiet in this 24 valve diesel. It's one of the best ones made by Toyota. But let me see if I can get that chirping sound when I come up to this bend. But I've the BFG K02s, super quiet, super amazing wheel. I've got lots of experience with them. And you know, the MT, I mean, just by sheer science, those blocks are so much bigger. Okay. Nah, couldn't really hear that noise. So bigger blocks, more noise. When you have smaller, tighter tread pattern in that really nice BFG tread pattern, super quiet, super quiet. But we're on nice dry roads right now as well. If we were in mud, the K02s would not be throwing that mud out of the tread pattern. It would just be packing up, and you know, water will still get pushed out. But the MTs, well, everything will wash out of that very easily, especially the mud will be thrown clear of the treads with their phobic bars and all. All right, let's get this vehicle back and wrap up the video. Here we are going 50 miles an hour. You don't hear the tires at all. So quiet. One other thing I wanted to add on that unsprung weight is the heavier it is, the less fuel efficient as well. So heavy tires is going to result in more fuel consumption as time goes. But fuel consumption might not be on the top of your mind when you're trying to clear a major rock obstacle off-road. But if it's your daily driver, that's where the K02s are going to be more efficient over time, you know, as far as fueling up. So keep in mind, OEM wheels, they're all done by the engineers knowing the vehicle, the weight, and all the geometry. Aftermarket sometimes can be super heavy. Sometimes aftermarket can actually be lighter if you're getting something that's like a light alloy. So all those things to consider on your entire wheel, tire, and wheel package. All right, so let's go to our summary. And again, tighter tread blocks. It's going to give you better traction on road. The wider tread blocks are going to give you better traction off road. Ultimately, you know, that's for the traction. So K02s, better dry roads, and snowy areas too. Those are going to be great in the snow and on road. KM3s, they are going to be way better. Like, they dominate. They're the boss of off-road. So the KM3s, if you're gonna do a lot of off-roading, go that way. If you don't mind the road noise, then, you know, and crank your music, KM3s. So the KM3s will always give you also better control and traction off-road. The K02s will be quieter, right, than the KM3s, of course, and they'll last longer. They'll be longer lasting. Both super durable, but just longer lasting on the K02s. So again, if you decide to go mud tire, look at my review comparing it to Toyo, because on the mud tires, the Toyos last longer than BFGs. Believe it or not, check that out. And if you're gonna go with the ATs, check it out compared to the Toyo Open Country AT3s. I have a review of that as well. Check it in the description. It might be the next suggested video. And hey man, if this helped you out, we'd appreciate if you hit the like button and comment. I will definitely get back if there's something I didn't cover, a question you got. Hit the comments. Even let us know what you got. You know, if it's niddle grapplers, if you're going the mud train, I know I didn't do a review with that, but share your thoughts and your experiences. And if anything, subscribe. You know, this is the type of stuff I post. I always try to post interesting, cool stuff. A lot of Land Cruiser stuff, as you can tell. That's a diesel. The black truck there's a diesel. That's a FJ40. And just coincidentally, on Trepadors, those are 40-inch to the left, and those are 37 SSTs to the right. So yeah, I have some experience with, you know, those type of MTs. Those Trepadors being the ultimate. You can put the air pressure down to like 5 pounds in those, and it doesn't even look like you took the air out until you hit a big boulder, and it just wraps around that boulder. Just a phenomenal tire, but horrible on road. You'll wear them out in 5,000 miles almost. So, but anyway, subscribe, check it out. Appreciate your time, and check the description for my other videos for the other tire comparisons if you're going MTs and want to just verify compared to Toyos, or you're going ATs. All right, happy trails. Thanks for watching.